There's a common misconception that the best version of you shows up when everything is aligned. When the money is flowing, the relationships are thriving, the health is vibrant, and every door you knock on opens effortlessly. While good times are undeniably powerful, they're not where the deepest layers of your identity are formed. What good times actually do is offer you a glimpse, a preview of your potential. They show you what's possible when everything falls into place. They whisper the promise of who you could be if fear, pain, and resistance weren't dragging behind you like anchors. When life is going well, it's easy to feel confident. Your shoulders are back, your smile is real, your decisions come faster, and your energy is contagious. You start to believe, this is me. This is who I was meant to be. And you're right, partially. In those moments, you're standing in the sunlight of your own potential. But potential isn't power, it's possibility. It's a seed, and seeds don't grow in sunlight alone. They need pressure, they need darkness, they need storms. The truth is, good times are intoxicating. They can feel like proof that you've arrived. But what they really do is expose how high you can fly, not how high you will fly. That gap between the vision and the reality, that's where the real work begins. That's where character is built. Because when the good times vanish, and they always do for a season, you'll be left with only what you've built internally. That's where the difference is made. You see it everywhere. The person who excels when conditions are perfect but crumbles under adversity. The athlete who performs under lights but disappears when pressure mounts. The entrepreneur who thrives during a boom but can't adapt in a downturn. That's the difference between being carried by momentum and being anchored by character. One fades. The other endures. What's dangerous about good times is they can make you believe you're unbreakable, but they don't test your limits. They show your range. They don't demand endurance, discipline, or emotional depth. They allow comfort. And comfort is the enemy of growth. It makes you forget the fire it took to get there. It dulls your hunger. It replaces curiosity with complacency. In the absence of resistance, muscles, mental, emotional, and physical, atrophy. Now, don't get it wrong. Good times aren't the enemy. They're necessary. They renew your spirit. They validate your vision. They remind you that life can be beautiful. But their real value is in the contrast they provide. Without good times, you wouldn't know what to fight for in the dark. Without the light, you wouldn't know why you're pushing through the shadows. But the shadow is where the shift happens. That's the difference. Character isn't formed when everything's smooth. It's not sculpted during celebration. It's shaped in the tension of contradiction, in the chaos of uncertainty, in the pain of losing what you thought was permanent. It's in those times when you have to decide who you're going to be without applause, certainty without guarantees. That decision, repeated 1,000 times in silence, is where true strength is born. You can't fake character. You can't Instagram it. You can't shortcut it. It's built when you choose to show up when no one is watching. When you decide to keep moving forward when everything in you says quit. When you choose honesty over ease, discipline over dopamine, and purpose over popularity. It doesn't happen when you're being celebrated. It happens when you're being challenged. Good times will always come and go. They're the waves. But character is the boat. If all you've built is enthusiasm that depends on external winds, the first storm will capsize you. But if you've built inner fortitude, emotional resilience, and clarity of purpose, no matter how wild the waves get, you won't drown. You'll navigate. So the next time you're in a season where everything's working, enjoy it. Celebrate it. Be grateful for it. But don't be fooled into thinking that it's the finish line. It's just a reminder of what's possible. It's the vision, not the validation. What matters is what you do with that vision when everything gets hard again. Because it will. That's how life works. The high is the whisper, the low is the test. And it's in the test that who you are is revealed, shaped. And pain has a way of grabbing your attention. It doesn't knock politely. It kicks the door down. Whether it's heartbreak, betrayal, failure, or loss, pain enters like an uninvited guest and makes itself at home. And the first thing we tend to do is resist it. We treat pain like a curse, like some kind of punishment for something we did wrong or didn't do right. But that mindset is a lie. One of the most damaging lies we tell ourselves. Pain isn't here to destroy you. It's here to develop you. It's not punishment. It's preparation. When you shift how you see pain, everything changes. Instead of asking, Why is this happening to me? You begin asking, what is this building in me? That question turns suffering into strategy. It moves you from victim to student. And once you step into that role, pain stops being the enemy. It becomes a mentor. The truth is, nothing transforms you like pain. Success might excite you. Love might inspire you. Joy might elevate you. But pain, real pain, reconstructs you. It pulls apart the old frameworks that kept you small. It rips down the illusions you were clinging to. It dismantles your comfort zones and confronts every weakness you've been hiding behind. And yes, it's brutal. It's invasive. But it's also precise. Pain is the great revealer. It shows you who you really are. And then it dares you to become something more. Think about the moments in your life that changed you the most. Were they easy? Were they convenient? Or did they break something inside you first? Growth doesn't begin at the top of the mountain. It begins at the bottom. When your knees hit the ground, when your plans fall apart, when the people you thought would never leave are gone. That's where you learn. That's where you toughen up. That's where your soul starts asking deeper questions. And when you ask better questions, you get better answers. Preparation isn't gentle. It's not supposed to be. Preparing a warrior doesn't happen in silence or safety. It happens in pressure and pain. You're not forged in comfort. You're forged in conflict. If life is preparing you for something greater, it's going to stretch you beyond what you thought you could survive. That's not cruelty. That's necessity. That's purpose. But here's the key: you have to participate in your pain. You have to lean into it. Not to suffer for the sake of suffering, but to listen to what it's trying to teach you. Pain always comes with a message. Sometimes it's about letting go. Sometimes it's about setting boundaries. Sometimes it's about humility, patience, focus, or forgiveness. But if you numb it, escape it, or deny it, you never hear the message. And when you don't hear the message, you repeat the lesson. That's why some people live the same year of pain for 10 years. Because they never paused what the pain was preparing them for. They just endured it, resented it, and dragged it behind them. But pain unprocessed becomes pain repeated, and pain repeated becomes identity. That's when it traps you. When you start believing, this is just who I am. This is just how life is for me. That's not truth. That's trauma talking without being challenged. When you accept that pain has a purpose, it doesn't hurt less, but it hurts better. It becomes a tool, not just a torment. You start seeing the weight on your back as resistance training, not punishment. You realize that rock bottom isn't the end, it's the foundation. You learn that the things that try to break you are actually giving you bricks to build something stronger. There's a reason athletes train in pain. There's a reason warriors are put through trials. There's a reason leadership is forged in failure and pressure, because the future version of you, the one you haven't met yet, is going to require more strength, more clarity, more emotional range than the current version. And life knows that. Life prepares you by pruning you. It strengthens you by stripping you. It grows you by grinding you down and rebuilding you with what you discovered in the dark. So when pain shows up, don't flinch, don't run, don't ask it to go away too fast. Ask it why it's here, what it's sharpening in you. Ask what version of you it's preparing you to meet. Because pain is not the enemy. It's the signal that you're being shaped for something beyond what you thought you were capable of carrying. It's easy to fall in love with success. The applause, the recognition, the results. People admire it, chase it, worship it. We're told to visualize success, attract it, manifest it, plan for it. But here's the truth: most people won't tell you success doesn't shape you. It doesn't define who you are. It only reflects what you've done. The real sculptor of your soul, the architect of your identity, is struggle. Struggle is where the substance of a person is carved out, not in the highlight reels, but in the behind-the-scenes battles no one sees. Success is the outcome. Struggle is the process. And without the process, the outcome is fragile. You can win something you haven't earned. You can stumble into a moment of success without having the roots to sustain it. That's why people reach the top and still feel empty. That's why some achieve their goals and still feel like imposters, because the outer results showed up faster than the inner foundation. Struggle is what builds that foundation. It's what earns you the right to feel grounded, capable, unshakable. You don't discover your limits in success. Success can flatter you, inflate you, make you believe you've arrived, but struggle confronts you. It tests your convictions. It forces you to meet the parts of yourself that success never requires you to face. You don't grow stronger when everything is going right. You grow stronger when nothing seems to be going your way and you still show up, still push forward, still decide that quitting isn't your story. Think about your proudest moments, not the ones where things were easy, but the ones where you had to claw your way through, the nights you cried and still didn't give up, the seasons where no one clapped, but you kept grinding. Those moments didn't look like success from the outside, but they shaped the kind of resilience that success alone could never provide. You weren't just doing something, you were becoming someone. Struggle has a way of making you earn every inch of your progress. It teaches you to appreciate what comes your way because you know what it cost. Success, when it comes too easily, can lead to entitlement, but struggle teaches gratitude. Struggle teaches patience. It teaches endurance. When you've had to fight for it, you respect it, you hold it differently. You become a steward, not just a consumer of your own success. There's something sacred about struggle because it reveals your values. When everything is stripped away and you're left with nothing but your choices, your mindset, and your will, that's when your character is tested. That's when the shortcuts appear and the masks fall off. Struggle exposes what you believe, not what you pretend to believe. It doesn't care about your goals on paper. It cares about what you're willing to go through to get there. Success can make you comfortable. Struggle makes you courageous. In comfort, you coast. In struggle, you evolve. Comfort tells you to stay the same. Struggle dares you to change. If you avoid struggle, you avoid growth. If you chase only success, you risk becoming hollow, an image without integrity. You have a screwed up life. But if you embrace the hard parts, the painful parts, the parts where you're unsure and exposed, that's where the depth is built. Some of the most extraordinary people on the planet were not formed in moments of victory. They were forged in moments of deep doubt, heartbreak, and pressure. It wasn't the trophies or the accolades that built them. It was the nights they wanted to walk away but didn't. It was the failures they turned into lessons. The rejections they turned into redirection. They didn't become powerful because success handed it to them. They became powerful because struggle gave them no choice but to rise or be buried. You have a screwed up life. You can dress success up with all the celebration in the world, but when you strip it back, what matters is who you are when it's hard. When no one is watching, when everything inside you says it's too much, that's where the real version of you is formed. Not in the spotlight, but in the shadows. Not in the applause, but in the adversity. Because success may open doors, but struggle teaches you how to walk through them and never forget where you came from. Everyone wants to be seen. Everyone wants to be recognized, applauded, and validated. We grow up dreaming of stages, of platforms, of lights shining down while the world claps for who we've become. But there's a reality no one tells you early on. The spotlight doesn't build you, it reveals you. And if there's nothing underneath, nothing forged in the private, painful spaces, then the light doesn't elevate you, it exposes the hollowness. Because resilience isn't made out there where everyone can see you, it's made in the dark. It's built in silence and solitude in the parts of your story no one ever claps for. Resilience doesn't start when everything is working. It starts when everything is falling apart. When your plan just broke into pieces and you're sitting there holding the fragments. When the phone doesn't ring. When the job falls through, when the relationship ends, when your body gives out or your mind begins to question whether you were ever built for this. That's the moment resilience knocks quietly. It doesn't shout, it doesn't sparkle, it just whispers, get up, and you do. Not because you're ready, not because it's easy, but because something deep inside you refuses to let darkness define you. That's where resilience is born. Not when you're strong, but when you're weak and you decide to move anyway. Not when you're celebrated, but when you're overlooked and still keep showing up like the world's watching. Not because of confidence, but because of conviction. The dark doesn't lie. In the dark, there's no audience, no filters, no applause. Just you and your truth. And that's the furnace where resilience is formed. Because when you choose to keep walking through it, you're training your mind and body to operate without external approval. You're building self-trust. You're developing inner certainty. And when you finally do step into the light, it won't shake you. It won't define you. It will only magnify what's already there. Most people admire resilience, but they don't realize what it costs. It's not something you're born with. It's something you become through repetition, through choosing to endure, through learning how to breathe in chaos and still make decisions. It comes from nights where sleep doesn't come, but your responsibilities still do. From mornings where your legs feel heavy, but you lace your shoes up anyway. From conversations where you swallow your pride and speak truth even when it's uncomfortable. That's resilience in action. It's quiet, it's consistent, it's invisible to the crowd, but unmistakable to the one who lives it. The spotlight makes a lot of noise, but the dark is where you learn to listen. You hear your doubts, your insecurities, your fears, and you stop running from them. You stop pretending they don't exist. And instead of fighting to silence them, you learn to lead anyway. That's what separates the resilient. They don't wait to be fearless, they act in the presence of fear. They don't wait to be perfect, they move with their flaws in plain sight. The dark trains you to keep going even when your emotions don't align. That training becomes your edge. If you've ever watched someone walk through fire with grace, it wasn't the spotlight that gave them that poise. It was the seasons of darkness where no one saw the tears, the wrestle, the breakdowns. The spotlight only shows what was built away from it. The applause only echoes what was already earned in silence. That's why resilience is such a rare currency, because most people quit in the dark. Most people need the light to stay motivated, but the truly resilient have learned how to be their own fire when the world goes cold. There's something sacred about surviving what was meant to break you. Not surviving by accident, but surviving by choice, by grit, by deciding that you're not done yet. That's the decision you make in the dark. And once you've made it, the spotlight doesn't matter as much. It becomes just another place you stand, not the place you're defined, because you were already shaped in the quiet. You were already tested when no one cared. You were already built when no one believed. The light may show them who you are, but the dark is where you met yourself. Everyone wants to climb, but no one wants to fall. We're conditioned to chase the peak, to measure our worth by how high we can go, how fast we can rise, how far we can stretch. But no one teaches us how to handle the descent. No one prepares us for the moments when everything we built starts to unravel, when the momentum stops, when we lose the thing we couldn't live without. We treat those lows like something to escape. We label them as failures, as breakdowns, as detours. But what if they're none of those things? What if the lows aren't life punishing you, but preparing you for a version of yourself that only pressure can produce? The lows are not the opposite of progress. They are part of it. They are the chapters where the real transformation happens. Not in spite of the struggle, but because of it. Pain doesn't show up to pull you backward. It shows up to wake you up, to call you to a level of honesty, strength, and insight that comfort never could. And if you can stop fearing those lows, if you can meet them with curiosity instead of panic, you unlock one of the greatest powers available to any human being, the ability to turn adversity into wisdom. You have a screwed up life. The truth is, we don't grow when everything is going our way. We grow when things fall apart, and we're forced to rebuild with more awareness than we had before. You have a screwed up life. You learn how strong you are when being strong is your only choice. You discover who you really are when all the identities you wrapped yourself in get stripped away. You start asking questions that actually matter. Not, how do I get out of this? But, what is this teaching me? Not why me, but what now? In the lows, you slow down. You look closer. You start to see where you were rushing past flags, ignoring your inner voice, or chasing things that were never truly aligned with your values. The discomfort forces clarity. The pain strips away the noise. And even though it hurts, it creates space for something more real to emerge, something grounded, something sustainable. Because the wisdom you earn in the valley will serve you long after you've left it. There's a kind of resilience that comes from surviving what once terrified you. From waking up after a season where you didn't think you'd ever feel okay again. From standing up one more time than you fell down. That kind of resilience doesn't make you invincible. It makes you wise. It makes you quiet in chaos. It makes you powerful in ways that the world can't measure on a scoreboard or a spreadsheet. It gives you the ability to look someone in the eye when they're breaking and say, I've been there. And you'll make it. But you only get there if you stop resisting the fall. If you stop treating every low like something to be ashamed of. There is no shame in hurting. There is no shame in losing. There is no shame in the middle of a chapter that doesn't look like victory. What matters is what you do with it, whether you let it define you or refine you, whether you use it to build a wall around your heart or to break it open in a way that lets more truth in. Some of the most remarkable people you'll ever meet didn't rise because life was easy. They rose because life was hard and they chose to rise anyway. They didn't avoid the lows. They faced them, sat with them, learned from them. They let the fire purify instead of consume. They let the fall teach them how to fly differently when they back up. They understood that wisdom is not born from theory. It's born from experience, from tears, from disappointment, from having everything fall apart and choosing to rebuild anyway. This time with more intention, more depth, and more awareness than ever before. Life isn't just about the moments that shine. It's about the moments that stretch. The good times may light the path, but it's the hard times that carve the road. Every peak you reach is meaningful because of the valleys you've walked through. Every success matters more when you know what it cost you to get there. The joy, the pain, the rise, the fall. They're all part of the same journey. You were never meant to be shaped by comfort alone. You were meant to be refined by contrast. So when the light is on you, be grateful, but when the dark comes, don't run. Embrace it. Because every chapter, every challenge, every tear, every triumph is preparing to become someone stronger, someone wiser, someone unshakable, not just someone who knows how to rise, but someone who knows how to rise again.